By the 90s, Disney already dominated the theme park industry. The 3 main parks were already built, and Animal Kingdom was under construction. But this wasn't enough. Disney wanted to expand their presence to most major cities worldwide, and their plan was a massive 5-story, 100,000 square foot immersive arcade. Disney planned for over 20 of these to be built across the world, but ultimately only 2 of them would ever open, and the last one would close in 2017. DisneyQuest was broken up into 4 distinct zones: Explore, Score, Create, and Replay. And each of these had their own unique experiences. The Explorer Zone had experiences like Pirates of the Caribbean, where you and your group would board a pirate ship and have a fun pirate adventure. Another favorite was the Virtual Jungle Cruise, where you would be given paddles, and you were actually able to steer your inflatable rafts and avoid obstacles. DisneyQuest took a high risk with Aladdin's Magic Carpet. This was a primitive VR ride that was groundbreaking at the time, and it would allow you to fly over Agrabah. The Score Zone was dedicated to competitive games. This included Buzz Lightyear, which was a version of bumper cars where you would shoot foam balls at other players, the Mighty Ducks Pinball Slam, where you and several other people would stand on a platform, and each of you would move individual parts on a pinball machine. The Create Zone included the Animation Academy, where you would be coached by an artist on how to draw different Disney characters. Over at Sid's Create a Toy, you would smash up a bunch of toy parts from the Toy Story movies and make your own abomination. My favorite ride here was something called Cyberspace Mountain. This is where you would get to design your own roller coaster, and then you would hop in a motion simulator and experience it. It was by far the coolest thing that DisneyQuest had. And the Replay Zone was dedicated to classic arcade games and different interactive experiences that would be swapped out periodically. The first DisneyQuest would open on June 19, 1998 in downtown Disney in Florida, and a slightly smaller 90,000 square foot DisneyQuest would open on June 16, 1999 in Chicago. Disney was taking a huge risk here. Not only was this a competitive scene with Dave & Buster's and Steven Spielberg's GameWorks, they were also using experimental technology. VR when DisneyQuest first opened was nothing like the VR headsets we have today. Both locations were positively received, but this is where the cracks started to show. There were several fundamental problems with DisneyQuest. This had a very high operating cost, and it was also when VR was in its infancy, so if they wanted to keep things looking cool and new, they would constantly have to be upgrading expensive hardware. This, combined with lower than expected attendance, would lead to the closure of the Chicago location just 3 years after opening. All future expansion plans were subsequently cancelled. As the years went on, it was becoming more obvious that DisneyQuest was becoming obsolete. Disney wasn't investing any more money into it, and in 2015, Disney and the NBA would announce that the NBA experience would be coming to Disney Springs. Shortly after this, Disney announced that DisneyQuest would be closing and it would be turned into the NBA experience. This was a crushing blow to DisneyQuest fans. Despite being outdated, this is something that could have easily been fixed if Disney was willing to spend more money on it. But on July 2nd of 2017, DisneyQuest would close for good, and a few months later, the demolition would begin. On August 12th of 2019, the NBA experience would finally open to a very lukewarm reception. Even a month after opening, this place looked like a ghost town. There's many things that led to its failure, but unlimited appeal is something that's near the top. While basketball is one of the most played sports in the world, there is a very little incentive to come to Disney Springs and pay $34 to shoot some hoops, do some skill challenges, and look at some NBA history and then leave. I never met a single person that was excited for this, especially when they found out it was replacing DisneyQuest. And while we can't ignore the whole pandemic thing that happened in 2020, I think it still would have failed even without it. The pandemic merely accelerated it. In August of 2021, Disney announced that the NBA experience would not be reopening, and in February of 2024, Disney would file demolition permits, but they did not announce what was going to replace it. I think now would be a good time for Disney to make DisneyQuest 2.0. As VR has gotten better and cheaper, I think there's a lot of potential to revive this once outdated concept. I'm sure they could also make a deal with Meta to get a bunch of Quest VR headsets, and then Disney could also sell them at the gift shop. So it's a win-win for both Meta and Disney. Hopefully if Disney goes with this route, they upgrade the experiences over time and don't let it become decrepit like the old Disney Quest. What do you think should replace this now vacant building? If you like this video, if you could like and subscribe, it would help me out a ton. Thanks.